He's our pal, Tom McCarthy. Thomas, welcome. How are you, pal? Okay?
I'm doing good, doggy. You doing all right?
Doing well. You still getting all your walks in? What's going on with that?
I'm trying to as best I can. Sometimes I get sidetracked to doing other things. But it is a priority right now.
Good boy. We love that. Okay, the Phillies, priority for them might be Realmuto. Where do we stand at the end of the day? What do you think? Let me hear.
Well, obviously, Doug, you'd love to get him back. I think a lot of it has to be dictated by the market right now. I don't know what he is going to garner on the open market. There are teams that have needs for him that probably have some additional cash. He turned down the qualifying offer, which is around $19 million for at least 1 year. I would think he's looking for in the neighborhood of $25 million a year. I don't know what the year total is going to be, but I think that if you're the Phillies, there are a lot of other needs that you may have to put in order to hit your the salary number that you want. I think you have to wait and see where the market is for him after the first of the year.
Yeah, $25 million a year. He's 29, 30 years of age with hip issues. Would you be concerned by his injury aspect at the end of the year?
The only thing I do like about him from that standpoint is if you give him 5 or 6 years, or I don't know if he's looking for 7 years, he's an unbelievable athlete. Could you put him at first base at some point? Some people think you could put him at third base because of his athleticism down the road. National League's not going to go away from the designated hitter, so you do have the opportunity to put him there toward the end of the contract. I would be leery of that only from a catching standpoint to go deeper than 5 years. But I know that there are teams out there that probably would do it. Listen, he's a great dude. He's great in the clubhouse. Joe Girardi loves him behind the plate, the way he calls games, the way he prepares, and the way he handles the pitching staff. I mean, he is the total package. But again, there's a lot of needs that the Phillies have to fill beyond even the catching position.
And what do we know about I know you don't look at the books, but what do we know here about all the money that the Phillies reportedly, and I'm sure they did, lost in 2020? I mean, let's face it, this is a team that gets 36,000 a night, so they're going to get pounded without any fans last year, and who knows? I think eventually we'll get fans in 2021. I don't think it's going to be right away, but you don't know what the revenues are going to be stream-wise in beginning part of the year, too. So more losses to come. That makes it tricky to go. And they spent $330 million on Harper. That's going to make it interesting, too, to see where they are from a financial standpoint. What can you illuminate me with that? Go ahead.
Well, right now they're about $140 million with 6 players that are arbitration eligible. So they're going to get obviously a jump, whether it be Rhys Hoskins, Andrew Knapp, Vince Velasquez, who made 3.8 last year. He's probably going to be in the neighborhood of $4.5 million for 2021. I don't think the Phillies will hit last year's payroll as far as the number goes. It was over $200 million before the pandemic hit. But I do think that that John Middleton and the Buck family are going to be competitive. But I think like a lot of things in baseball, and believe me, Chris, it's not a cop-out at all, but I do think that, the vaccine and whether there are going to be fans in the stands is going to dictate not only for the Phillies, but a lot of teams around Major League Baseball. I think on average, most teams lost around the same amount of money last year, in essence, in excess of $5 billion from a industry standpoint. But I think a lot is going to depend on what the budget is for the number of fans that are going to be in the seats this year.
And I believe the commissioner said it was $8.3 billion as an industry.
I knew it was. Yeah, I knew it was north of 4 or 5, but I wasn't sure what the exact number is. It's a lot of money, obviously.
It sure is. All right, where do we stand as far as the bullpen is concerned? Do you take? I mean, you're going to have to tweak it in some categories. We all know how bad it was, but we also know bullpen. 1 year they're terrible, and next year they're unhittable. So where do we stand as far as trying to improve this bullpen? You got to bring a couple of guys in, or there's some salvageable parts out there that you see. Tommy, let me hear.
Well, I think the bullpen and the starting rotation for the Phillies are keys going into 2021. Obviously, the bullpen was the worst in baseball last year and arguably one of the worst in the last 50 years. I do think there are pieces that are salvageable. If there's the ability to bring back Jose Alvarez, I think that he is a great piece to have in the bullpen. I do think Hector Neris is another piece that would be a good nugget to have in the pen in 2021. But I think you have to go out, Chris, and revamp the entire thing. I also think the Phillies need at least one starting pitcher, and maybe 2, but at least one starting pitcher, because they have Zach Wheeler They have Aaron Nola. They have Zach Eflin. And then you have two spots that you have to fill, whether Spencer Howard is one of those or Vince Velasquez is one of those. But I do think pitching is where the Phillies really do need to put an emphasis. And let's face it, Didi Gregorius was a huge piece to the puzzle last year at shortstop. But the Phillies did not offer the qualifying offer. And, that's a position also that they've got to figure out as well, whether they move Gene Segura there and have Kingery play second base every day. If Bryson Stott, their number one pick from a couple of years ago, is ready at some point in the next year or so, I think that there may be a position where the Phillies are going to have to go really young to make sure that they keep the payroll at a specific spots.
Excellent point, Tom. Enjoy it, and enjoy that Gonzaga-Baylor game. We'll see you along the way. I'll make sure I get the radio on for that Buffalo-Pittsburgh-Westwood game that you will call. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Keep in touch.